Item 50 is to discuss issues in the resort corridor regarding excessive noise and artificial amplification devices in the public right-of-way and potential ways the county might address the issues and direct staff accordingly. Commissioner Gibson.
Thank you. Over the last several years, we've received, and the resorts have received, countless complaints about the noise and the conflicts when there are activities that are resort related, that are licensed and authorized by the county, in and near the pedestrian traffic that moves north and south on the boulevard. The issue seems to be the commercial activities that are occurring on the sidewalk and the dining areas in particular. And those conflicts are increasing. We were out there just the other day, and there were folks that were conducting commercial activities, collecting money from passersby in an effort to be heard, I suppose. But the problem is that the noise levels are very difficult to manage. It turns out that we have a noise ordinance in the county, but it doesn't apply along Las Vegas Boulevard for reasons that existed in the past but may not any longer exist. And because of the exemption, it feels as though there may be an opportunity here to do something that would provide us some relief. There are also issues related to distance separation between the outdoor commercial activities and resort dining. And one of the other issues that has come up is the extent to which many of those commercial activities on the sidewalk are using amplification of the sound, which is making it even more difficult to enjoy oneself at a dining experience outside. We have with us today Lieutenant Mullins from the City of Las Vegas Marshal's office, and Captain Dennis, the area commander at the Convention Center Area Command. We know that other jurisdictions have done things to address these kinds of conflicts, and in particular the City of Las Vegas has adopted an ordinance that governs much of what we are considering, or what we're concerned about, I suppose, at Fremont Street. And it's been I guess my observation has been that it's been kind of a mixed bag. They've made progress, but it's a little difficult to manage all of the different things that occur. And my thought is that many of us here have taken the tour. We've gone out with resort folks and the police and others, and we've walked up and down the strip at night, and we have seen these conflicts. We know that there are gatherings around those commercial activities that tend to block the flow of traffic. We also know that there has been additional trash generated along the boulevard that needs to be collected. I believe that action is being taken to increase the trash collection and keep it cleaner. We also have repainted stripes that designate pedestrian areas and areas where there can be some measure of gathering done by those who are conducting those commercial activities. But we're not to a point yet where we've overcome the issues that are affecting us. And in a time when we're competing with the entire world to make sure that the experience that people have when they come and visit Las Vegas is unique on the positive side, this appears to be a time where we need to take a really hard look at both the process and then the particulars, so that we come up with something that passes legal muster but that addresses the problem, because these conflicts are intolerable. Now, I've asked, or I'm grateful to Lieutenant Mullins and Captain Dennis for being here. It might be good, Lieutenant, if you were to help us understand a little bit about what the unique challenges are at Fremont Street. And then, Captain, we'd have you come up and maybe just to take a moment and help us understand the frustrations that the police department is experiencing. Because I think that there are plenty of things that can be addressed if we think about them in advance. So thank you, sir.
Good day, Commissioners. Thank you for having us here. This is Stephanie Scott. She's actually our tourist liaison officer down there. So I brought her along because she is going to be far well abreast of all the ordinances as it relates to what you all are talking about. She actually worked Convention Center Area Command for a few years as well. So I thought that best of both worlds, that she'd be a very good presenter here. So what we have here at Fremont Street.
Excuse me, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
I said your name, but under our rules, would you please say your names before you speak?
Yes. Yeah. Timothy Mullins, Mullins, Lieutenant with Department of Public Safety, City of Las Vegas.
Stephanie Scott, Department of Public Safety, City Marshal.
Okay, so you guys are familiar with Fremont Street. I took over the Fremont Street substation about 2.5 years ago. So it was a new entity for me. I'd never really dealt with anything to the level of, you guys refer to it as outside commercial activity on our sides of street performers. So that's that was certainly a new challenge for us. But what we came to learn is that the mechanism, I know that you all don't have circles and it's more about noise ordinances, but those circles ended up being a tremendous asset for all parties involved. That's stakeholders, that's tourists, that's city officials as well. Believe it or not, the performers actually they actually love the circles, that 6-foot radius that they're engaged with. The noise ordinances, as to what you're specifying, sir, there are certain distances, ATM machines, intersections. If there's an active stage that performers can actually they can amplify their music, if you will, or their voices for that matter. We have decibel meters. There are individuals that are certified in that, so it's about 107 decibels that they cannot exceed from a foot away, and that's really a 1-second read on up to 80. I think it's 85 decibels from 25 feet away. So to expand a little bit more, I'll let Officer Scott go ahead and give you guys more info.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon. Yes, the FSC security officers regulate the noise. It is 107. They cannot exceed that. If they do, it is a citable or an arrestable offense. So there is a criminal aspect that follows behind it. The 85 decibel reading is about 25 feet away. I think that's less important. They are approximately 40 feet away from another performer. They have to be 20 feet away from every ATM, every door, every intersection, anything that has to pertain to fire hydrants, anything of that nature. 10 feet away from any kiosk and 10 feet away from a patio. They also have the ability, unlike this strip at this moment with the circles, they have the ability to close circles. So they work with stakeholders in order to close the circle, maintaining 25 circles at all times out of a 38 circles that they have down there, which allows, if there is a high traffic weekend and there's a beautiful patio going on and they have music, they can close the circle for those 3 days and reopen a different circle. So it's really working with the stakeholders, really working with the area down there to make sure that everybody's happy at all times.
If I could ask a question, I want to make sure I understood properly. So your officers carry decibel readers and are able to enforce the decibel coming from one particular performer versus surrounding sound. They're able to isolate that in a way that is enforceable?
Commissioner, we don't have anybody that's certified with our agency. However, Fremont Street Security, we work hand in hand with them. There are 70 security officers, and they do have security that is certified. So they will usually walk with us and capture the reading.
It's the private security that is doing that piece.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Gibson. So approximately how wide is the Fremont Street experience? Do we know?
80 feet wide. I believe it's about 0.3 of a mile long.
Okay. No, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
Cam Dennis.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Chris Dennis with Las Vegas Metro over at Convention Center Area Command. I have with me Sergeant Joseph Inez.
Sergeant Joseph Inez. I've been with the Convention Center Area Command for about 7 years and worked extensively on the strips.
I know obviously we've all gone down there and done the walk on the strip and looked at some of the outdoor commercial activity that takes place down there. Obviously, there's certain laws that are already on the books that we can enforce that are extremely helpful with obstruction and certain types of amplifiers, whether they are the type of generator or something that you actually have to physically plug into an electrical socket. Obviously, those kinds of things that we can definitely enforce. But one of the complaints we're getting from a lot of our stakeholders up and down the strip is a lot of these the outdoor activity that's taking place. They're bringing now, you have the Bluetooth ones, battery operated, or you even just have some of these acoustical instruments that are extremely loud. And then there's no really zoning for it. So you'll have different entities coming out and kind of competing with each other, trying to get louder and louder. Obviously, if crowds start to form, then we can go in and we can move people along and have them stop or go to another location. However, what we're trying to do is figure out a way to prevent the problem from actually occurring. So a lot of these people that are coming down to our city that want to go enjoy the outdoor dining, they can actually listen to the music or whatever's taking place at that establishment versus waiting for the crowd to get so large that we have to go in and take enforcement. And I can answer any questions, or Joseph can answer any questions you guys might have for us.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a few.
Please ask them.
Sorry. And maybe this is more for our attorneys, but it feels like years ago when we went, this is long before I was sitting in the seat, but we went through, spent tons of money with the newspaper racks and all those things based on the traffic flow of the strip. So it feels like they would, at least when I was down there, they're impeding traffic because people are stopping. Is that not reason enough to move them along? Or I've said I like the circles for a long time now because we could put them all 6 miles, because it seems whatever we do today, they're going to find a loophole and do something different, right? But I'm just wondering why, how do they get stationary to begin with?
So once they've created an obstruction of the sidewalk, yes, we can go in and we can enforce that and we can move them along. Some of the issues is during, let's say during lunch hour or whatever, we'll get a complaint from one of these outdoor dining establishments where they're not really impeding traffic, but they're just a noise nuisance to the outdoor dining establishment, that they're the ones calling in and complaining about it. So unless we can actually show that they're actually causing an obstruction of the sidewalk, where you have people walking around them, if they have to go into the street, absolutely, you're correct, and we can go out and enforce that. It's when maybe they're just a single person out there and they're not causing that obstruction and people can walk past them, the dining establishment still has the issue of the noise and they're competing with them.
So when I walked the strip, I collected a lot of business cards because everybody had a business card down there and they didn't have a business license. Is that not another way? Do we need legislation for that? I just am trying to figure out, because I get it. There was rock bands out there, right, in front of a place that you go to hear the ambiance and have your, look across the way at the fountains or whatever, and then you can't hear or even talk to the person you're sitting with. So I get that, but I'm just like, sir, I feel like we have to come at this at like 10 different ways. And I'd be curious as to what do they do in Times Square? What do they do in all these other places? Because I feel like if they don't have a business license, they shouldn't be there to begin with.
I agree with you, but based on the way the law is written is if they're not actually charging people, they're allowed to ask for tips. And then you cannot charge them for the business license.
That's an additional law we need to maybe look at.
Anything more? That really is the extent to which we can talk about this. I mean, we know what the complaints are. We know that there are far more today than there ever have been in the way of these folks that are conducting these commercial activities out on the sidewalk. We're getting more complaints as a result. That means you're busier walking up and down the strip trying to keep peace. We've got to do something to deflate the conflict. And we appreciate very much the way that you're responding and what you're trying to do. While we were over there, we had a couple of officers show up and talk to both of the groups that were doing their activities. And that's helpful, and it was helpful that day. But the thing that we also want to avoid kind of a battle of the bands thing, where you have a restaurant that doesn't want the people to be bothered by what noise is coming from the sidewalk, that has sound piped into the outdoor area, and so they're turning up the volume, and it ends up ruining the experience for folks. My thought was that we direct staff to take a look at all of these complaints, the challenges that Metro, the experience at the Fremont Street experience and any other jurisdiction that has been down this road, come back to us with a process recommendation that would yield some action. And if it turns out that maybe we do something about proximity early on, or something about noise early on, and come back and look at it after you've had an opportunity to look at all of the rest of the considerations, that's fine with us. We would leave that to you to recommend something, but this isn't something that can take forever. It's something where we really need to see you back and reporting on at least the process, but process and the particulars of outcome as fast as you possibly can. And I would leave it to my colleagues to offer their comments.
I would just add, and Commissioner Gibson, thank you you've been leading on this for a long time. I think we all share the passion for needing the Strip to continue to be successful. I would just add, and I realize this item is narrowly tailored around noise, but we have all had conversations around some of the other things you mentioned, like the trash. The county is the supervisor of the contract for the Strip cleanup. We have to have better supervision of that contract. I know, Ms. Kramer, you've been working on that. I would ask perhaps Public Works comes before this board and explains that contract, because I think we need to look more seriously at how it's supervised, the number of individuals that are on the street. That contract is paid for out of Strip dollars, so it's not there's a different sensitivity to the budget there. But I think we ought to do more there. Just today, we had an item getting after some of the issues that Commissioner Gibson, you've been working on related to the elevators and escalators on the Strip. I think that's really important. It probably is important for the whole board to be involved in that conversation, because it's a high dollar issue, but it's a high dollar problem too. And it is all related to how Las Vegas Boulevard functions in a successful way. So thank you for getting after the noise issue. I think it is an important piece of many of the challenges, Captain, that you and your colleagues have brought to our attention. Is there, Commissioner Sagerblum?
Just to follow up with both of you, I totally agree. We need to make the Strip like Disneyland as far as spotless, and as far as noise goes, there's got to be a way that we can differentiate between constitutional and unconstitutional noise. And when you go out there and sit at the Mona BQE and you can't talk to your person with you because there's some guy on the street with a loudspeaker pumped up, that's got to be illegal. So we got to thank you so much for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I want to say the elevator, the escalator issue and the bridges on the boulevard is a mammoth problem. And I'm remembering something like $40 million an intersection, or I think it might be 70 per intersection, 40 per set of stairs or something. It's terrible. And some of the escalators we inherited from the state, the ones that we spec'd out and built and paid for ourselves, are doing a little better in terms of their maintenance, but the low bidder won when the state put those out for bid, and there is an enormous expenditure that is coming to us to keep those moving. So thank you very much. We know you have to deal with that as well, and we appreciate the work that you do out there for us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.